All right. Hello, parents and students. We are so glad that you are spending your Sunday afternoon with us. We are so ecstatic and so excited for this new season for your students who join us here in the Brick. This time is just for us to let you know our heart for your students as they make a transition or have made the transition to our student ministry, to let you know our heart behind the things that we do, why we do the things that we do, the way that we do them, and what we do if you're new to the student ministry. So we're excited. We can't wait. In an ideal world, in a COVID-free world, we would have you down here in the Brick. We would feed you and just have a great time and get to know each other. But I realize that the times are a little bit different, but we are grateful that we get to come into your living room this afternoon and can tell you more about our student ministry. So before we do anything more, just want to kind of set the stage for what we're going to do. This is for our for families of new students in the student ministry. So that means it's for our upcoming 7th grade parents. So some of you are on here, thanks for joining, but it's also for families who have students who just joined in the past couple of months. So for both of you, whichever place that you land or your students land, we want to welcome you. We have a special guest who wants to say something kind and an encouraging word to our upcoming 7th graders. So Blake Hooten, you can go ahead and come over here. And Blake just has an encouraging word for our upcoming 6th grade parents. So Blake.
What's up, 7th grade parents? Now, we have loved getting to work with your now 7th grader when they used to be upstairs in the district with us. We have missed seeing them this spring. It's been a joy to us to watch them grow in their faith, and we pray they continue to grow in their faith with the student ministry. We know they're going to do an awesome job, so we just want to share some thoughts because we love these kids, and we pray for them. Just a goal we had for them in the kids ministry. It's one I pray for these kids all the time in the district. It's Colossians 1, 9 through 10, it says, "We've not ceased to pray for you, asking that you may be filled with the knowledge of his will and all spiritual wisdom and understanding, so as to walk in a manner worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing to him, bearing fruit in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of God." That's our ideas. We want these kids upstairs, we want these kids to increase in the knowledge of God and put their work into action. We know the student ministry is going to do an awesome job. They're going to love it down here. Could not hand it off, pass the baton on to a better group of people. And so we did want to come down and say, we'll miss having them. I'll miss giving them high fives. I usually tell them they have to give me high fives no matter how old they get. But things change now. They'll have to give me air fives or whatever's going to happen. But we're going to miss having them. But they are going to love student ministry. We know that student ministry is going to continue to help them grow in their faith and put those good works into action and practice being disciples and eventually becoming disciple makers for the Lord. So I just want to pray for all these upcoming 7th graders and say, we appreciate you so much, and we look forward to seeing God work in your lives. So I'm going to pray real quick, and then I'll pass the baton back to student ministry. So, dear Father, I thank you for the 7th graders that are moving up, and I thank you for just the way you've moved in their hearts. We've seen a lot of great acts of faith. We have seen them serve. We have seen them reach out and grow and serve you in the preschool. I pray that as they continue on to student ministry, they love you more, as they see the excellent example their staff has set, and just all the many ways they can grow in their faith and continue to serve and go on mission trips and just to be a part of something greater. So I pray that they continue to grow in you every day, that you are with them, and their love for you continues to grow over in abundance. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thanks, Blake. All right. So we want to introduce you to the rest of the student staff. So they're going to join me up here. We're just going to tell you a little bit about ourselves. So.
Yeah. Hey, my name is Pierce Vanderslice. I'm the only one wearing shorts here, apparently.
Haven't changed since.
Clearly. And I serve as the student pastor of the Heights Student Ministry, but particularly spend a lot of my time with the high school guys and high school male leaders.
All right, so my name is Kingsley DeMacor. I'm the associate student pastor. I work with the junior high folks, the junior high boys, and I am definitely looking forward to you building some relationships with you guys.
Yeah, my name is Graham Varnell. I work down here with the student ministry in a ministry called Student Alpha, and we're all about outreaching to students in high schools in our area through the friends of students here in our church, all about the unchurched.
Hey, my name is Madison McClendon, and I'm the girls pastor at the Heights Student Ministry. So I focus mostly on high school girls, but I'm over all girls, and I'm super excited to get to know some of you ladies coming up.
Hi, I'm Peyton Esparza, and I'm the junior high girls resident as well as the youth missions coordinator. So I hang out with the 7th and 8th grade girls as well as help plan all of our youth mission trips.
All right, thanks, guys. So Pierce is coming back up here. And,
Forgot my iPad.
There you go. Good stuff. So we just wanted to take some time and kind of let you guys know more details about the student ministry. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Kingsley. Let me start off by saying it is an honor and a privilege that you would trust us to minister to your teenagers. It's not something we take lightly. I just became a father 9 months ago. Kingsley's got Levi's 2?
21 months.
21 months, and then a baby girl who could come any day. And so we're new parents, and even as new parents, I think I realize even more just how sacred, for lack of better words, it is the people you let be around your kiddos. And so the fact that you trust us guys, is just something we don't take lightly, and we take very seriously the spiritual well-being of your kiddo. And so I just want to walk you through missions and goals and kind of the ethos, the DNA of our student ministry. And our mission as a student ministry is making disciples by taking personal risks to bring the gospel to all relationships. And you might be sitting there thinking, wait. That's not your mission. That's the church's mission. That's exactly right. Our mission is no different than the church. Your students are just as much a part of this community. We are just as much a ministry of this church as adults, as senior adults, as college. And so therefore, in unison with the rest of our fellow believers, we hold the same mission. And we want to raise your teenager up to be discipled and to make disciples. Not just to be a Christian, but to be a true follower of Christ. And to be a true follower of Christ means to be a disciple. So what's the goal? Well, the goal is for your student to be a 5G disciple. And again, you're like, wait, this is no new information. Yes, sorry, we got you good. Really, when it comes to missions and goals, there's no new information. There's nothing different than what you hear upstairs from Gary or Brian or Chris Havard. It's the same beat. And it's the same thing that your kids have been talked about by Blake and Nadine and the unbelievable children's staff. It's one church, one vision, one mission, one goal, and that's 5G disciples. 5G disciples, they do 5 things. They experience grace, they gather together, they grow, they give, and they go. And so grace is the gospel. We hope that every single teenager that comes here experiences the grace that is the good news of Jesus Christ, that he came, he died, and he created a new way to live for your teenager. We believe that incredibly important to being a disciple is together with believers. Obviously, that looks a little different right now with some virtual options. And by the way, I think Kingsley will hit this in a minute, but we understand that gathering is still a little bit different in the midst of this ongoing pandemic. But we seek to gather our students as much as we can. We want your students to grow in their faith. We want them to grow in spiritual maturity. We want them to give of their time, treasure, and talent. Yes, your teenagers have all 3 of those. They have time to give to the local body. They have treasures to give to the local body. We have to help them understand how to steward that. And they have talents. I mean, man, our midweeks are more or less run by high school students using their talents to help further the kingdom of God as it is expressed here in the Heights Student Ministry. And then we want to go. We have a strong missions culture in this student ministry. We really do. This summer, we had our 2 mission trips canceled due to COVID, but we had kids scheduled to go to South Dakota. That trip got moved to San Antonio. Unfortunately, that got canceled too. And then we have a local mission trip called Serve Dallas. Kingsley, I think, will tell you a little bit more about that here in just a second. But Serve Dallas is, I shouldn't have favorites, but it's my favorite thing that we do. It's actually one of the reasons that Peyton, you just met her, serves on our staff, and it's because we value missions so much. We want someone on our team who kind of lives and breathes it within their job. And so eventually we want your students to go. Ideally, your students will go out and they will serve on mission. So I mentioned events. We do several big events throughout the year. We have things like Hoop-de-Doo, which Peyton and Kingsley will tell you about in a minute. It's an all-nighter. We do a high school retreat, which is for 10th through 12th graders. We do a Disciple Now weekend, which we call Chi Alpha, which is an in-town retreat in February. And then we do camp, which is about the second week of June every year. And so the reason we do big events, there's several reasons, I guess, but here's the top 2 reasons that I want you to hear about why we do big events. The first is that they provide a great opportunity for your student to foster relationships. The fact of the matter is if you and your student agree that it is in their best interest to join us for a retreat or for Chi Alpha or for camp, I would all but guarantee they will come back with deeper, more meaningful relationships here at this church. I mean, I've been doing student ministry since really in some sort of capacity for about the last decade. The number of times I've heard stories about students who entered into an event a bit hesitant, a bit trepidatious, not knowing many people, and then they leave that weekend or that camp or that all-nighter with 5, 6 new close friends. I mean, the stories are countless. They really are. And so one of the big reasons we do big events is because we want to foster deeper, more meaningful relationships. The other reason is it often provides a great opportunity to bring guests. Now, certainly big events are not the only time you can bring a friend. Your friends, your kids' friends are welcome at any and everything we do, period. I mean, like 99% of the things. Yeah. But big events often provide a little bit of an easier, more accessible on-ramp. And so for your teenage son or daughter, it might be easier for them to invite a friend to join us for an all-nighter at a water park in an arcade than to invite them to come to a Sunday morning life group. And that's just the way we're aware of how teenagers operate. And we know that. But the whole point of them inviting friends to big events is so, one, they do what I just said, foster more deeper, meaningful relationships. And so hopefully at all of our events, they get a little bit of a taste of the gospel and what it means to be a true follower of Christ. And so that's why we do big events. Now, let me be the first to say, there are other ministries in the area that do more events than us. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But we choose to allocate our treasures, our time, our talent, our resources towards a discipling culture. And when we do big events, we do them big and we have a blast. But really, our bread and butter, what we value even more is your student connecting with their peers, their community, and with an adult leader who can become a discipler in their life and teach them how to be a discipler. So one thing that's really, really important to me is Kingsley, myself, Madison, Peyton, Graham, we are not here to assume sole responsibility of the spiritual maturing of your teenager. I want to say that again. We are not here, nor do we want to assume full responsibility of the spiritual maturity of your teenager. It's really, really easy, and we get this all the time. It's really easy to view Kingsley and I like your pediatrician. And we're certainly not as smart as your pediatrician. But in the sense, when my kid has a stomach ache, I send them off to the pediatrician does their thing, prescribes whatever is the necessary medication to help alleviate the symptoms of the stomach ache, and then we're good. And a lot of times, student ministries are built around this idea, okay, my kid is struggling with something spiritually, so I'm going to send him off to Kingsley. Kingsley's going to talk with him. He's going to counsel my 7th, 8th grade son for a couple of sessions, and then all of that will be fixed. But that's not how we operate. It's not a transaction to where you just give us your student for the next 6 years, and then they become a Christ follower, they become a 5G disciples. It's us coming alongside of you. We cannot say it enough. You are the chief disciple maker in your kid's life. And you may be thinking, well, my kid wants nothing to do with me. They won't even listen to me. It doesn't matter what I say. There's nothing I can do that makes myself cool. Like, you're a little bit younger. You're cooler. Just you do the hard work. But the reality is your teenagers are more influenced by you, even as a 7th, 8th, 10th, 11th, 12th grader, than you realize. You are still the primary voice of influence in their life. I will fully bet everything. I mean, I've read studies on it. there was a study that was put out. I mean, this is now a little dated now, but it was a study done by, ironically, MTV in association with someone else. I need to pull up the study, but it basically solidified with some concrete data what I'm saying, and it's that parents are still the primary voice of influence in a teenager's life. And so we believe that, and our ultimate goal is to equip you to minister to your student, not for us to assume sole responsibility for the discipleship and well-being of your student. Finally, let me tell you a few things that we're not going to do for your student. Like I said, we're not here to replace you as the prime authority figure in your kiddo's life. We're not here to replace you as the chief disciple maker in your student's life. We're also not going to we're not going to sugarcoat things necessarily for your students. And I don't think kids ministry did that either, but we believe that by 12, 13, 14, your kids can handle some raw truth. And so we might at times, if I can be totally frank, we might tell your students things that they don't want to hear, but it's gospel truth that they need to hear. So we don't really sugarcoat things around here. Now, we're loving, we're filled with grace and compassion, but we also take seriously the command in Scripture to rebuke, to call out sin, and to proclaim chiefly the truth of the gospel. Read 2 Corinthians 4. I just read that the other day, and that can kind of clarify what I'm talking about. And the other thing is, we're not just here to modify behavior. That's another assumption that's often made in student ministry. It's something as along the lines of, well, my kid is doing this, call it X, and if I send my kid to church, they'll stop doing X. Now, in theory, that could happen, but it's not going to be because I said, hey, Kingsley, you need to stop doing X, and then Kingsley believed and was like, okay. So we don't modify behavior, right? That's behavior modification. That's not what we're about. But instead, we're about equipping your teenager with what it means to live a life of freedom in the Spirit. Galatians 5:16 talks about walking in the Spirit. That's what we want for your teenager. We want your teenager to walk in the Spirit. And we believe that if they encompass a life that is walking in the Spirit, then suddenly what seems like such appetizing sin will become less and less and less. And you'll actually, I think, oftentimes see a modification of behavior, but it's not because we intentionally set out to modify behavior, but instead we set out to equip your son or daughter to live a life of freedom in the Spirit. And so, Colossians 1:28, Blake kind of spoke to this, talks about presenting mature believers to Christ. We want to present mature students to Christ. Excuse me. It's a very wet, it's not a dry cough, Kingsley. It's not a dry cough. I promise. I'm very, very healthy right now. I feel very healthy. I just had a little tickle in my throat. He's freaking out right now. He never takes his mask off because, like I said, he's got a baby girl coming any minute. I kind of honestly forgot where I was going to go with that whenever I lost my cough. But anyways, man, we are so excited that you would join us here. Like Kingsley said, usually we like to do lunch. Maybe we'll figure out a way to do lunch at another point. And let me just say, Kingsley will say this multiple times, but we're here for you. Call, text, email us. Any questions, anything you need. I hope anything I said didn't make us sound like we're unapproachable and we don't want anything to do with discipling your teenagers. We do all have a calling to invest in teenagers, and we want to do that. I know there are some, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but we live and breathe this stuff. We read things. We know what teenagers are going through, and so we want to help you. We want to pastor your students. We just don't want to replace you. So.
Good stuff. And, just go off what Pierce just said, I think our staff is probably the most approachable people, like people who are easygoing that you can come up to and talk to about anything. So if you come up here on Sundays and see us around, please stop by and say hello, and we'll be glad to talk with you. So Pierce talked about our calendar, our events throughout the year. So I just want to briefly more at a 10,000 foot level kind of tell you what our calendar looks like over a span of a year. So We, like Pierce said, we're not the student ministry that's pumping out a big event every month. The events that we do are very strategic, and they have a purpose behind them. So we have about 3 big events that we do a year, and then mission trips, and we would consider some events as well. But in September, usually in September, right in the fall, we have what we call Hoop-de-Doo. And it is a night of absolute fun. It is a blast. It's one of my favorite events.
Fun. It's real fun at 3 a.m. Let me tell you.
For the almost 30-year-old and the 30-year-old, it's we feel it now. But for the folks the kids who are 13 and 14-year-olds, they enjoy it a lot. But it's a night where we go to some high energy attraction parks in the area. Last year we went to Great Wolf Lodge, and then went to like a putt place around here, and came back to the church, played some dodgeball, video games, Xbox, you name it. It's just a night of fun. We taught our students to invite their friends, and again, like what Pierce was saying earlier, it's just a time for our students to build some memories that they're going to remember for a really long time. So that's usually around in September. And then in February, we have what we call our Chi Alpha, which is a weekend event where our students, again, I should have said this before we started. We're living in some strange times. You can't say that enough. So all our events kind of have an asterisk next to it. We don't like that, but it's just the way things are these days. So we would like to assume that that we were able to host these events, but again, we'll always keep you guys in the loop of when things are happening, if it is happening, and all that sorts of stuff. So Hoop-de-Doo in September, Chi Alpha in February, and what we usually do is our students will stay in host homes, or trusted church members open up their homes for us, for our students to stay in. We have a speaker who comes in and encourages our students. We have small group leaders, college students who come home and lead the small groups. We have a band who leads in worship. It's just a great weekend and a time for our students to worship and be encouraged by small group leaders. And then in the summer, we have our student camp, which we usually have in Carolina Creek and Huntsville. Again, we have a speaker who comes in, our adult leaders who lead the small groups, and just have a great time in the outdoors. And then Pierce was talking a little bit about this earlier. We have a few mission trips throughout the year. So in March we usually have a mission trip to Honduras, and we'll give you more details here in a few months about what mission trip is going to look like for that. So mission trip in March during the week of spring break, and then we also have a couple of mission trips in the summer. One is called Serve Dallas, is our local mission trip that's open for our 7th through 12th graders. So junior high parents, your students are welcome to that. Again, like Pierce was saying, our students love Serve Dallas. It's a great way for us to invest in our community that's surrounding the church and invest in our city. And then we usually either go to South Dakota or England or Spain. Again, we have all of those just to give our students an opportunity to be able to serve people. So, again, those are our major events, and they have a asterisk next to them, and we'll keep you guys in a loop of when things are happening, if they're happening, and all that jazz. So that is our major events throughout the year. I briefly want to talk about our weekly events. So on Wednesday nights we have Switch for our junior high students, for 7th and 8th graders, and that is usually held right here at the church in Brick in the Hub. And starting off the semester, we'll have a virtual option for our students who aren't able to be with us in person. But we meet from 7 o'clock to 8:30 on Wednesdays, and it's just a high energy time where our students come in, usually grab a pizza, some drinks, play some games, and are led in small groups by some high school leaders. So it's a really great time for our junior high students. And then while we're here at the church doing Switch, our high schoolers are in some host homes throughout the areas in what we call huddles, and those are led by high school leaders, student leaders as well. And they're structured in the way where our student leaders can take ownership of that and invite their friends to it. And it's a really great time for them to worship and have discussion. And then on Sunday morning we have life groups. Usually we have life groups right now at 11 a.m. since we're meeting in person at 9:30 a.m. But again, we'll always keep you guys updated on when life group times are. But right now, you guys can join us here on YouTube, and we usually have a speaker and sometimes lead worship. So so life groups Sunday mornings, and then one more thing I forgot to mention about midweeks. Every first of the month, first Wednesday of the month, we have what we call Unite, and it is a time for all of our students, both junior high and high school, to come together and worship together. So we call that Unite and happens the first Wednesday of every month. So those are our weekly events, and again, we will keep you guys updated on when things are and all that stuff. So Pierce and I talked to you guys about our vision, our mission, and our weekly events, our yearly events, and we can talk to you all day about how awesome our student ministry is, and we believe that with our whole heart. Like we love our students, we love the adult leaders who are here serving with us. Sorry, I need a different mic here. But we thought it would be great for you guys to hear from a fellow parent. So we've asked one of our adult leaders and parent of 2 kids in our student ministry to join us. So Maria, are you on? She's joining us via Zoom. Give her just a second here. Hey. Oh, I think she left us. There she is. Hey, can you hear me? All right, it looks like it's breaking up here.
It's still breaking up?
Yes, it's still breaking up. Can you head back outside? Sorry, I know it's hot.
Let me do my phone.
So sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. Give us just a second here.
Is that better?
That is much better. Can you turn on your video so we can see your lovely face?
Oh. Where am I? There we go.
All right. There you go.
There we go.
Hey, thanks for joining.
Okay.
All right. So Maria has 2 boys currently in the student ministry. Luke, who is about to be a junior at JJ Pierce, and then Mark, who is crazy to think, but is about to be in high school. He's about to be in 9th grade. He's also going to be at Pierce. Is that right?
That's correct.
Oh man,
actually, that's not correct. We're virtually.
Oh.
We're going to do the virtual thing with Mark. But
All
yeah.
right, so he's going to be online at Pierce.
Yeah.
All right. So we've asked Maria to come on and just to share about her perspective, both as a parent of students in the student ministry and both as an adult leader. Maria is one of our 50 to 55 adult leaders in the student ministry who serves faithfully in discipling students and investing in the life of students. So she is an awesome person to hear from. So Maria, what would you tell these other parents to expect as their students begin their time in the student ministry?
So coming into seventh grade is just really needs to be looked at as a time of transition. It's so different than what we used to call K-Dog, elementary. It's a little bit awkward. It's a little bit more adult-like for them. Some of the things will be similar. We try to keep boys at boys' tables and girls at girls' tables. And we do have like icebreakers and things that will help transition and make it fun. But there's not like busy work activities in the classroom. We really are trying to dive into God's word and have small group conversations and really just trying to get to know each other.
Yeah.
I would also say that, be aware that the leadership team that will be with the kids will try to put together some socials. They will, in the early fall, the director will put together small groups. And so when they do that, then the leaders of the class will be reaching out to the students to talk to them, like to text with them, which we'll do in group texts. And usually have a staff member on that as well. But this is really about building blocks to make a connection with these students so that as they get older, they have another adult or other adults in the faith that they can go to when they don't feel like they can talk to mom and dad. I have 4 sons and they all got to a point. I have 2 of them right now at home that are at that point. That once they hit their teen years, mom and dad aren't as smart as they are, and they don't want to listen to anything they have to say sometimes. And it's just this super cool ability to make a connection with a student as a leader, to make a connection with a student that isn't your kid, but that you get to come alongside the parent and just talk with them and befriend them and hopefully really just kind of encourage the same information that the parents are doing.
Yeah, that's so awesome. One of the so for our parents who are watching online, one of the things that we tell both to parents and adult leaders is there's a statistic out there that says was done by Lifeway research, and they did this research and to research college students who graduated from college ministries, and they interviewed or did a survey for students who for college students who held on to their faith after college, and then college students who left the faith after college. And the deciding factor for those who held on to their faith after college were the students who had more than 5 adults who were pouring into their lives. So for our parents who are watching online, our student ministry is built so that there are multiple voices in the life of your students, like Maria, who are pouring into them, who are not telling them something different that you're telling them. If you're telling them to follow Christ and pursue Him with everything, we're continuing to support that message and encourage that here at in the student ministry. So we just want to let you guys know that that's something that we value very highly. So. So Maria, let's. What advice would you give to the parents? It doesn't have to be one, but what advice would you give them as they're entering to this new season of their kids being down here in the brick?
So I would say that
Oh, I think you're muted.
no, I'm not muted.
Oh, okay. You're good. I just can't hear you.
I'm good?
You're good.
Okay. So so I would say that as your student transitions into 7th grade, that your family is going to transition as well. And so I would encourage you on Sunday after church and lunchtime maybe, or afterward, talk to them about what their takeaway was from class. Like completely engage them in what we're talking about in the classroom and hear what they have to say. I would suggest that, it's not like color and pictures anymore. We're going to bring up stuff that is going to be confusing for them because they've heard these cute little stories growing up and now they're applying it to their lives and we're diving deeper. Okay, Kingsley, you're making a face. Can you not hear me?
Hey, sorry. You're coming through so everyone else can hear you, but I can't hear you. So I'm sure
Okay.
your answer was phenomenal.
Okay.
We're just having a few technical difficulties. We'll get the fix here in a second, but I'm sure.
Okay. So
there you go.
Can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
I finish?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead and finish. Yeah.
So I would really encourage you to just take that time and do that. I would also encourage you to partner with the leadership in the class to help your student get connected. It's super important that your student get connected with the other leader, with a leader in the class, or with other students in the class. The worst thing, in my opinion, that you can do is when your student comes downstairs and says, I don't know anybody, I don't want to go, it's too hard, that you say, okay, you don't have to go. Because if they can't push through these awkward moments in a safe place with people who love them and just want to love on them, then when they get out into the real world and they are struggling, they're not going to have the tools that they need in order to cope, and they won't have the confidence. And we can walk them through that. We understand that it's weird and awkward. And the truth is, it is for us too. When we're with new kids in 7th grade, it's awkward for us too. I'm 52 years old. I mean, some of these 7th graders look at me like a grandma. It's kind of weird. But here's the thing. Our hearts are in the right place, and we're committed to being there for your students. And the staff is there to help us learn how to do that. And so just see yourself as a partner and not and an advocate.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to reach out to students and I feel like I'm having difficulty, I reach out to the parents and I ask them. I'll text the mom and say, hey, is there something I should know? Is it okay that I'm reaching out, etc. And then the last thing I would say is just remember that this is scary and weird for them. And this is really about encouraging them to take steps in their faith. All of this is so that at some point in their high school years or in their 7th or 8th grade year, if they are mature spiritually, that they own their faith. It transitions from being the faith of their mom and dad to their faith. And if they aren't challenged to own that, then they won't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the statistic that Kingsley's already talked about, right?
Yeah. That's so good. Thanks, Maria. So, I mean, you've already, brought out, some really great points there. What are, and I have my things. I have things that I look back, especially this last year, that I can celebrate and I can be so, happy at. We've had students who've come to know the Lord, who, didn't know him at all. We have students who have kind of like what you just talked about, who lived their whole lives thinking their parents' faith were their own faith, so they just thought because their parents were Christians, they were Christians, come to the faith. I've seen students who have battled addictions, experienced freedom and freedom in Christ, and become liberated from that. So there's many things that I can think of and celebrate. But what would you, as a parent and as adult leader, what is one of those things that in the past year, it doesn't even have to be in the past year, that you look back and say, man, that was awesome. That was really the working of God. What would you say?
Well, I don't have an experience in the last year as a parent. I do as a adult leader. But I can share an experience that probably impacted our entire family, and which I love to share about, is that when our junior in college, Joshua, was, and this is kind of bridging two questions that you were asking me. When he was 15 years old, so Joshua's pretty stubborn as a kid. He still is. And he was starting to make some pretty bad choices. And he was really struggling with going to youth. He felt like some of the kids in his class were really fake, and he was very annoyed by that, and he didn't want to be around it. And he was making some choices with his friends that was making us really nervous. And in complete and total desperation, after months of prayer, I picked up the phone and called our youth pastor at the time. And I just told Corey, I said, listen, I feel Josh slipping from our fingertips, and I don't really know what to do. And I said, I wasn't downstairs yet at the time working in the youth department. And so I didn't know anybody down there, and he wasn't really getting connected with any other leaders. And so I said, I really don't know what to do. And that youth pastor said to me, we will get him connected with a young adult, and we will do everything we can to help you. And within a year's time, Joshua was challenged with his faith. Instead of coming from a place of judgment, using those challenges to decide for himself what he believes. And then he was challenged to go on mission. And when Josh went on mission at 16 years old to Honduras, he left one kid. But when he came back off that plane, he was a different kid. And it changed our whole family.
Wow.
I could not believe it. And so to this day, he chases after the Lord. And he's inspired all of us to go on mission trips. I will tell you right now, if you meet me downstairs, I'm going to tell you that you should send your kid on a mission trip. And if you can go, you should go with them. Because there's something about putting what you think you believe into practice.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing God's hands and feet working right in the moment, either locally at Serve Dallas, which is something our youth department does incredibly well, or serving internationally. So anyway, that's one of my favorite memories that I would share. And I would also say that as an adult leader, one of my favorite things is Chi Alpha, because it allows me to build relationships with the girls that I mentor, because they come into my home and I host some of them.
Yeah.
But over COVID, I have had 3 young ladies that I've been doing a Bible study with every Tuesday night virtually.
Yeah, I was hoping you would get to this.
Oh my God.
That's so awesome.
I was terrified. I was like, so, the whole fall, I was, they would look at me kind of funny, and I already said it, I'm 52. So I'm not like the cute little 20 somethings that are down there. I've got my kids down there, but they know my heart.
Yeah, yeah.
And I invest and go to activities and things like that, which you as parents should know, that adult leaders are going to want to know your kids' like soccer schedule or band schedule or theater schedule, because they're going to want to go to their events and show your students how much they care about them and how invested that they are. In our youth department, it's not about Sundays. Please hear me say that. This is a big torch for me. Sunday is the least of our investment. Our investment is all the other days. And so, anyway, when COVID hit, I was doing my daily Devo and had my Bible study with my adult women. And I just felt like the Lord was tugging on me that I needed to reach out to a few young ladies. And the girls in my small group were not responding back to me. And so I just asked the Lord to give me the names of students that he wanted me to reach out to. And in about 4 or 5 weeks, he gave me 3 names over and over and over again. And so then I called our junior high staff, which is Peyton. And I called Peyton and I asked her to pray with me over it. And I said, I think God's leading me to do this, but I am terrified. And these girls are very quiet, and if I'm not, and I didn't know how they would respond. And Peyton said, you need to reach out to them and see if they want to do it. I think this is a great idea. And I reached out to all 3 girls. I reached out to all 3 girls' moms.
Yeah.
And asked permission. And they all said yes. And then I reached out to all 3 girls, and they all said yes. And we have been meeting. We just started out doing First 15, which is Craig Dennison's daily Devo that our church does a lot of. But in the last 3 weeks, we've transitioned to the book of John. And oh my gosh, it's been so good.
Good stuff.
So, yeah.
Well,
love that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Maria. We enjoy not only ministering to you guys, but having you guys ministering alongside with us. And I just love you and Michael, y'all's passion for students. I don't think the folks who are watching know that you guys had just finished with the senior class and then came back down to 7th grade and now helping us in 7th grade now 8th graders. So we are definitely appreciative in y'all's faithfulness to the Lord. And we're so excited to have you guys as part of the team here at the High Student. So thanks for joining us for the call.
Yeah. Anytime.
Yeah, I'll let you go so you can get inside and get some AC.
Thank you.
Yeah, see ya.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. All right, so is one of the things that Maria said that that I would love for your parents watching to hold on to is that we really want your students' experience here at the in the student ministry to go beyond the times that we meet, because we really believe that God wants to continue doing His work throughout the week on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, Thursday, Friday, all throughout the week. So we really hope that that was encouraging to you. Now, Peyton's our missions coordinator / junior high intern or resident is going to give us some announcements.
Yes, so I just wanted to talk to you guys about how you could stay connected with us and how, as a parent and your student on social media and through emails, you guys could stay up to date with what we're doing in the student ministry. So you can follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. So on Instagram, you could follow us at Heights Students, and on Facebook, it's the Heights Student Ministry. And we post pretty often about events, weekly events, or our big events such as Hoop to Do and Chi Alpha and camp or poolsides in the summer, just so your student and you will know how that they can come to things and be with their friends at each week. Also, we have parent emails, and you can subscribe to the parent emails, which will come out bi-weekly or sometimes weekly as we get closer to events. And you can subscribe to those at theheights.org/students. And also the last thing would be, we would love for you to volunteer and serve in the student ministry so you can invest in your students' lives. And you can do that by either being like a chaperone at Hoop-de-Doo or by being a host home at Chi Alpha or a home for poolsides. There's many different ways that you can be involved in the student ministry or serving in your students' class or in life groups on a Sunday morning. And you can contact us for more information on how you can serve in the student ministry. But please look on social media for more information on what's going on in the student ministry. So I'm going to invite Pierce up here. Or no, actually, I'm going to invite Madison up here for some announcements on what's coming up in the next couple of weeks and what your student can be involved in this coming Wednesday, actually, very soon.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this has been an informative time for you. We're really excited for your student to become a part of our student ministry, for us to have the opportunity to pour into them, to get to know them, to just do life alongside them, and also you as well. So here are some opportunities in the next couple of weeks for y'all to begin getting involved in the student ministry. I know this is a weird time to jump into a new place and a new team, but we're super excited and we're super eager for y'all to get here. So the first opportunity is this Wednesday, August 12th, we have a worship night, and this is church-wide, so this is just an opportunity for us to gather together as a church body. Me and Pierce and Kingsley and Peyton and Graham are all going to be there. So now that you know our faces, come up, say hi, introduce yourselves, and we'd love to get to know you better. And then our first event as a student ministry is going to be August 26th. It's our back-to-school cookout. So this is a time-honored Heights tradition, and it's an opportunity for us to kind of like get a deep breath, come together, have some fun before our students jump back into school and all the stress that comes with that. And then Hoop-de-Doo is our first big event coming up, and that's coming up in I think about a month-ish. And all that information is on our website, and it's going to be publicized on our social media platforms as well. So stay tuned and keep checking into those. It has been a gift. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching it now, or if you come and watch this later, hopefully this has been informative and helpful and given you a sense of peace as a new parent, sending your student to a new place. But we're super eager to meet them, to get to know them, and hopefully we'll get to see y'all soon.